So this is part 2 of the store install. I want to show you, we label every faceplate ahead of time. We're installing phones as well, and debit machines. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of the way that these counters are, but there's nothing I can do. You can see we've pulled the cables over, and we're color coding the jacks for data and for the credit card machines. You can see how we labeled the other ends, and what we've done is we've pulled the cables through these surface mount boxes from underneath. We still have some tidying up to do, but the reason we color code the jacks is it helps the store cut down on maintenance when they need to check something. We velcroed all the cables for the registers, and this is what the jack looks like. It's a very specific way of labeling them, and on here we've punched down the patch panel. I zip tied the patch panel backwards. I tend to do that, it's easier to punch down, and we've got our switches installed, and now we're certifying each cable run with this fluke machine. And it's important to certify each run. Just because a cable is continuous doesn't mean necessarily that it was run correctly and that it's going to work to the optimal standard. So certifying a run is pretty important, and boom, we just download the results to our computer. We had some bit of an error here, but yeah, we got a result that looks like this in PDF. Anyway, the important thing is that it passes. If it fails, you can use more advanced testing to see why. And we've got our phone system in. What I did here was I ran the phone lines directly into the PBX, and then from the PBX I used additional lines that go into the patch panel. This is, and I've labeled the ports on the patch panel, and I color coded the patch cables as well. Here I'm punching out another hole. We still don't have power at the patch panel, so I'm using an extension cord. Of course, the other option would have been to punch down the voice lines onto a Bix block and use this 25 pair line, but that would not be ideal in case the site decides to switch to voice over IP later. So yeah, this is my preference, to run a proper Cat5e line for every voice and data line, or Cat6 if the customer wants to pay for Cat6. And I use normal phone lines, RJ11s for the voice to the patch panel, and I cut these cables down and I re-crimped them so they're not too long, and I labeled them as well. If we go here, we're setting up the manager's desk. We still have to tidy up these cables, but they are, as you can see, labeled just like in the front. The printer looks good. Everything looks good. Velcroed everything, nice and neat. Of course, you've probably seen from my other video. Mind you, this video isn't totally in order, but you've probably seen from my other video, we're setting up a cradle point here. The site doesn't have an internet connection, yet at the time of filming, but a little bit delayed. But typically, most retailers now, they have a normal high-speed internet connection and a backup 4G cradle point. I would say about 2 years ago, very few people had the backup. In the last 2 years, we've been rolling out these cradle points at, I don't know, hundreds of locations. Everybody's buying a cradle point as a backup because stores are moving their equipment into the cloud. And they're not. You can see I'm working pretty late. This happens. I like working late because none of the other contractors are in our way. We've got our IBM terminals installed. We're routing the cables here through this counter. I don't like these counters very much. They're very difficult to work with. But yeah, most stores are getting cradle points. They're taking their servers out of the stores. The servers are really a pain to maintain and upgrade and whatever. We can mount these poles to the register itself. We mounted them into the counter. And getting this patch cable from the debit machine into the wall jack is extremely difficult because the wall jack is separated by this wall on the left. So it has to go in the hole and down, and then to the left, and then back up, which is no easy task. So I had to use these glow sticks to get it through, and also a lot of elbow grease. But on one side it was easy, on one side it was very difficult. So yeah, as I was saying, also I like to zip tie these power adapters so that they don't slip out. And of course, these registers have a very long update process that has to take place. Well, not that long, but like 29,000 updates. It's going by surprisingly quickly. But yeah, retailers moving their servers to the cloud, and so going offline is very bad. So they need a backup. You can see how much trash we made here. Anyway, this is a somewhat completed store, and everything is looking pretty well.